offices, banks and bus services were halted. Many businesses operated with limited access to Dhaka, reflecting the tense atmosphere in the city. The Indian High Commission in Dhaka also issued an advisory for all Indians living in Bangladesh amid the worsening situation. Looking at continued violence in Bangladesh, government on Thursday expressed willingness to hold talks with student protesters. Law Minister Anisul Haq also requested the protesters to either end or suspend their protest. On Wednesday, students marched carrying coffins in solidarity with the deceased. Security forces were deployed outside the Dhaka University campus. The protest, remember, began after a ruling by Bangladesh High Court which reinstated the 30% quota for descendants of freedom fighters in government jobs. This had been repealed in 2018 following significant student and teacher agitation. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina exacerbated tensions on Sunday by referring to the protesters as Razakars, a derogatory term for traitors with historic significance. Hasina's Awami League party, which led the 1971 independence war, defended the quota system as a way to honor war veterans and their family sacrifices. The unrest has also taken on a political dimension now, with the main opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party BNP and its students' wing participating in the protest march. Now, Bangladesh's ruling party blamed the BNP for the chaos, and Dhaka police raided the party's headquarters late Tuesday. Police arrested 7 members of the party's student wing, and the detective found 100 crude bombs, 500 wooden and bamboo sticks and 5 to 6 bottles of gasoline in the raid. These protests pose a significant challenge to Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's government, the first since she won a 4th consecutive term in January in an election which was boycotted by the opposition BNP. In a national address on Wednesday, Hasina promised to set up a judicial panel to investigate the deaths which were caused by police firing bullets and tear gas to disperse protesters, and vowed to punish those responsible for the death of the students. She also mentioned that the Supreme Court would hear the government's appeal against the High Court verdict, which reinstated the 30% reservation for war veterans' families on 7th of August. Hasina asked the students to be patient until the verdict.
How can the government do these attacks? We have been saying since the beginning that we are ordinary students. It is a matter of common sense that over 50% of the jobs cannot be given away to quota holders. A normal state cannot be run like this.
It does look like tensions have gripped Bangladesh yet again. What do these protests really mean? What is the future of the 30% reservation. Let's discuss that. Joining us on the show is Salim Samad. He's an independent journalist and rights defender. Also with us is Shahidul Alam. He's the author and social activist. Both of them are live from Dhaka in Bangladesh. Gentlemen, thank you very much for taking time out. Mr. Alam, I'd like to come to you first, sir. What is the situation in Dhaka as we speak? Is there some peace?
It's a battlefield. We're on the verge of a civil war, I think. It's the worst it's ever been since I've known, since past 1971. And the response of the government is incredible. I mean, I myself was part of a team. We were attacked yesterday because students wanted to do a funeral for other Spain students. And police came in, hurled bombs at one of my colleagues, and dispersed. There were only 4 students there and about several hundred policemen and journalists with armored vehicles, a prison van, water cannons. They made it look like a war field. Today, a small group of women protesting in solidarity were attacked by the Army League goons again. I mean, it's incredible. And there are people dying. The television station's been attacked. The mood generally is absolutely vehemently against this government.
All right, the mood seems to be vehemently against the government. Salim, a lot of conversation around these protesters is this just about quotas? Is there more to it? Is it about the opposition BNP finally coming out and supporting these protests, hoping to make some political gains, or is this just about the quotas that a lot of students have been fighting for, and the teachers have been fighting for years now, until April of 2018?
Thank you for having me. First of all, it is very important to understand this is the second riot of the students' movement. The riot, I am mentioning the word riot because the riot is occurring because of the helmet binding, which is the Chhatra League's goons, and of course the riot police. They are together. So, and the third party is and the other students who are demanding for the reforms in the quota. Myself, I am a journalist. I'm a media rights activist. Plus, I am a Mukti Yoddha. I was in 71 in the war, and myself and many like me, like many other thousands of Mukti Yoddhas, the Revolution War veterans, never have requested for this quota or even any other benefits of a Revolution War veterans get. That's it. But most importantly today, if you're talking about today, which is the countrywide, not a hard strike, but it is shut down. So every major intersection of the capital, as well as the many main highways, have been blocked by the students. Till this evening, 8 journalists have been shot by the riot police. That's the riot police. They have been injured. They went to the hospital. That's how we got the head count. Number 1. Number 2, more than 20 journalists have been injured because of the police attack. And not only the journalists who are photographers as well as TV reporters. So this is a horrendous affair. The union, the Dhaka Journalists Union, has today made a protest. Officially, they are a pro-establishment unit, entity called the Dhaka Journalists Union. They have today have came out and protested, and of course they are blaming the students as well, and of course the police. So the situation is no more only with the protesters, no more with the riot police, no more with the helmet binding, the Chhatra League. It's also the journalists are also victims. So obviously the entire nation has expressed their solidarity through the social media. You will understand there's so much anger because of the huge, unavoidable, corruption, the money laundering, you just name it.
Okay. Shahidul, a lot of people watching the developments coming out from the High Court would be of the view that this is a High Court order. Sheikh Hasina government, under pressure back in April of 2018, did what protesters were asking. She did away with the 30% reservation, and she's saying wait till Supreme Court rules. Are students jumping guns?
Not at all. In fact, the situation with the judiciary is a red herring. This government has always used the judiciary in a bad cop, good cop situation. In Bangladesh, none of the state's institutions are independent of the establishment. The judiciary, the police, the state machineries have effectively become extensions of the government war machine. And the judiciary is used exactly in that manner. So we have a huge number of extremely improper decisions made by the court because the government wills it to do so. And when the government feels that there is an embarrassing or an awkward thing, it's blamed on the government. Essentially, we have a saying, put the gun on the shoulder of the person and shoot. And the court is being used as a bad cop. The court has never, for a very, very long time, ever been able to make a ruling independent of the government wins.
Okay, so it does look like the High Court ruling has also been influenced by the ruling party. You know, what is the way forward? If I were to ask you, Salim, what is the way forward? Sheikh Hasina government definitely wants the 30% quota. She wants it because many, many people who are supporters of her government benefit from that quota. Now, one way or the other, if she doesn't get her way through, she is making sure she gets her way through. What options do students and teachers have?
There are two options. Number one is negotiation, which Sheikh Hasina doesn't believe. She doesn't believe in dialogue. He never did that. Second is that this is the final, because Sheikh Hasina is not trusted. She may be trusted by India, she can be trusted by China, she can be trusted by any other countries, but the people of Bangladesh doesn't trust her. Because for one big reason, her government is an autocratic, and the government has passed several draconian laws to stifle the freedom of expression and freedom of the press. So obviously you can understand the media is not very supportive of her regime. The people, of course, the people who cannot make a voice, they are expressing. I just give you one small bite which has been broadcast on the television, private television, of course. A bus driver who was stuck in the traffic because of this protest for 4 hours. And that driver, when he was interviewed, that, well, what is your impression about what is happening? We are 4 hours in the traffic. He said, I am suffering, my passengers suffering, but I support this students' movement. So you can understand there's so much of vengeance and anger against this regime.
Okay. Obviously, there's anger and there's youth support, as we can see on our screens. The number of people who are gathering, these are not just students, can't just be students. People from all walks of life seem to be protesting today when it comes to, you know, protests against that 30% reservation, against that 30% quota is concerned. There is mayhem, there is chaos, and those on your screens currently battling for what they believe is their right to a government job. Shahidul, how serious and severe the situation is when it comes to economic opportunities? I want to get a sense from you, because all surveys on surveys, everything we read about Bangladesh's economy, it says that the economy is flourishing, and it cannot be without government support and government's robust policies.
Well, that's a problem in terms of your analysis. I think when you described Sheikh Hasina's election earlier on, you failed to mention that it was such a sham election, and that this is a government that hasn't been in.
I did
well,
mention...
I did hear what you said.
All right. Okay.
Okay, we'll not press on that. But the point is, the figures are very much cooked. It's been proven that the figures are cooked. It is true that the government has done very well for a select few in the government, part of the nexus of business communities and the kleptocrats who benefited from this. The GDP has grown, though that too is somewhat falsified. But one must also remember that Bangladesh has today the fastest growing ultra-rich in the world. For a country of its size and its economy, this is a staggering figure. If you look at the prices of essentials skyrocketing every day, people are finding it incredibly difficult just to make ends meet. They're struggling on each issue. Yet, on the other hand, there have been, yes, people who've done extremely well out of this. Sheikh Hasina herself has publicly commented on the fact that her peon has made $40 million and only goes around in a helicopter. That gives you an idea of where this money is going. So yes, overall, the government, the economy has benefited largely because our garment workers, our migrant workers, our farmers in the field have worked enormously hard to keep this economy flourishing. And it is these psychopaths who are milking it.
All right. Well, you know, if you look at government jobs right now, I have some data with me to support as to how much and to what extent government jobs are available to youth. Remember, until 2018, 56% of government jobs were reserved for other categories. Majority, 30%, were reserved for family members of veterans who had fought the Bangladesh Liberation War. Women and people from underdeveloped districts enjoyed 10%, and tribal communities got 5%, 1% was reserved for people with disabilities, which left essentially only 44% for all other openings, for all other general people who are looking to get those jobs which are found to be more stable as opposed to private sector jobs. Salim, this is essentially a movement about jobs. This is about students asking for what they believe they rightfully deserve: a living, earning, an opportunity to make money. What exactly are their demands apart from doing away with the 30% quota?
First of all, the quota or whatever or no quotas, the government job has to be exclusively, the background has to be from the Awami League. If you're not with the Awami League, if you're not with the Chhatra League, I mean, being a member of a Chhatra League, the Students' Week, you will never get the government job. That's impossible. You cannot find a single person who has got a job in the government and who doesn't belong to an Awami League family or has never been part of the Chhatra. So you can understand what is happening. If you're talking about the ethnic community, let me tell you, because I was 14 years in that with the insurgency in the Chittagong Hill Tracts. I give you one very interesting example of the ethnics who are eligible for the quota. It is the brigade headquarters, the 3 brigade headquarters in Chittagong Hill Tracts. The brigade headquarters, they decide, they do make a tick mark of which Chakma or Tripura or whoever will be eligible for that quota. So you can understand, everything is made up, everything is manufactured, and everything is biased. So obviously the students are frustrated, the youths are frustrated because they never got a job. Because most of the students who you see in the video, I mean on the street, they do not belong to an Awami League family. They also possibly never joined the Chhatra League. So they are excluded. So the anger is somewhere else.
All right. Well, there is anger, and the anger is also on streets. Shahidul, you know, going back to your point on how difficult it's become to live in Bangladesh today with prices of essentials skyrocketing, what exactly are students demanding? I took that question up earlier as well. I want to understand what exactly are students demanding, because Sheikh Hasina has basically done away with the issue. She's raised her hands. She said she's done what she could back in 2018 and one should wait up until Supreme Court hears the plea. What is your expectation of the Sheikh Hasina government right now?
Well, firstly, she did away with the quota, which was not what the students had demanded. They had actually wanted this unjust allocation for freedom fighters to be removed. They had no objections with the indigenous people, with disadvantaged communities having their portion. Now, what we need to remember is that the freedom fighters constitute less than 0.25% of the population. For them to be allocated 30%, and not just them, then their children and their children's children. The list of freedom fighters itself is deeply flawed. There have been people who were not even born in 1971. There are children under 8-year-olds who are part of that list. So let's not go into that. But the students, only one of the demands of the students is that there be rectification of the quota, but they also want reforms in society, they want reforms in governance, they also want the Prime Minister to leave. And that's, in fact, a very distinct demand that they've made.
All right. You know, Indian government also has issued a travel advisory to all Indians who are currently in Bangladesh. They've asked them to be careful in light of what's happening in Bangladesh, the protests that seem to be getting violent. Salim, one of the questions, of course, you have all the right to ask the Indian government right now is what their stance is. But as an independent country, India would not want to interfere in territorial integrity of Bangladesh. It stayed away from interfering in territorial integrity of any country. Who are you looking up to actually help you this time around? Sheikh Hasina has won a 3rd consecutive term. She is doing what she wants to do. She's saying wait and watch, maybe things will improve further. But who are you pinning your hopes on?
As I told you before, nobody trusts Sheikh Hasina. She has given a lot of promises before. The promises of freedom of expression to the people of Bangladesh. She has never even guaranteed that the people can go and vote independently. So let's not discuss about this. Do you believe that? Do you believe? I mean, I'm asking you. Do you believe that India doesn't interfere into Bangladesh? Look at the elections. They have the interference of India in the last Bangladesh election, and there are evidence that the Indian intelligence, it is published in the Bangladesh newspaper. India never protested. That the RAW has even made the leader of the opposition, or let's say the leader of the opposition, the leader of the opposition party, they have been wooed to come and participate in the election. It is RAW. This is one. Secondly, the former president has written a book, and that the book mentioned about that how Hasina has been able to come to power. So let's not discuss about this. And Bangladesh doesn't have any friends because of whatever has been the neighbors. So Bangladesh doesn't have a relation with Pakistan. Bangladesh doesn't have really good relations with India. I mean, of course, China. I don't know what happened. She did not get the promised. Whatever agreements that have been supposed to be done. She is now going to Saudi Arabia next trip. So obviously you can understand that she is not being welcomed in many countries. And of course, maybe India, I don't know. But if you're taking to the issues of the quota, the students will continue that protest.
Okay, the students will continue their protest. I am short on time, Shahidul. I want to come back to you with a quick question and perhaps the last one from me. In light of whatever is happening in Bangladesh today, this is an ongoing protest, perhaps one of the biggest that Bangladesh has seen in a while, likely to continue. Last time it happened, it continued for about 4 to 5 months. This time even longer, with the number of casualties which are already high right now. Everybody in Bangladesh seemed to be angry from all the social media reactions that we're getting at this point. What are students saying? Have you been able to speak to some of them? What are they feeling and what are they going to do next?
Well, firstly, I was laughing when you were saying India does not interfere with its neighbors. I mean, that really is such an idiotic statement to make. Forgive me for saying so. I mean, India's interference in Bangladesh is in fact one of the problems. The fact that we have an illegitimate government is because it's been propped up by India to a large extent. And while I have been talking to the students and I know their anger for a whole range of things, one of them is their anger with what India is doing, the fact that we do not now consider our country to be a sovereign state, but a vassal state of India. And I would like to end by saying...
I just have a quick question on that. Would you want India to interfere into what is a civil matter in Bangladesh right now? Would you find it appropriate for India to interfere what is literally a civil issue in Bangladesh?
Absolutely not. It is because India has been interfering that we are in this state. I would not want India to interfere. And what I want to remind Indians of is the fact that Sheikh Hasina now is a liability. She's been a pliant dictator and a puppet government for a long time and has served your needs. But I think what India has forgotten is that in the process, it's completely alienated itself from the Bangladeshi public. And there is still perhaps time it might be too little too late, but I think it is time for India to look at the Bangladeshi public and forget that this puppet government does not represent Bangladesh.
All right. Now, for us on the outside, let me make it very clear. It's for the people of Bangladesh to decide who they want to vote for, which government should come back to power next. And India would not want to interfere in what essentially is a civil problem in Bangladesh right now. And we hope that you as a country find a solution to what is happening with respect to your government and the fact that the opposition has been weakened over years. With third consecutive term, Sheikh Hasina does look like very difficult to be removed, to be dismantled from opposition right now. But before I close the show, Salim, quickly, does it look like to you that Sheikh Hasina may just be challenged? She was challenged in 2018. She did manage to go back on her word and she cowered under the pressure. Does it look like her power, her leadership may just be challenged by students?
Of course, yes. Of course, her regime has already been challenged. I mean, this is, of course, a challenge because the violence last time was not as high as it is today. Literally, unconfirmed 28 students or protesters have been killed all over the country. Many more have been. Right now, I just got in information that 30 ambulance has just arrived to the Dhaka Medical College. So you can understand the number of injuries during this protest. So this is the major issue. So this can be resolved through dialogue, through understanding them.
Okay, dialogue and understanding. Well, that's the hope, gentlemen. Thank you very much for taking time out. I wish peace. I wish that people of Dhaka find peace and solace in days to come, and there is some stability in the country by the way of a regime change in the long run, but at least some peace and stability and dialogue as far as the current ongoing challenges is concerned. It is an abysmal issue. We know of many people who have died. Unrest that has gripped Bangladesh now, with anti-quota protesters turning violent, resulting in 7 injuries, 7 deaths and about 400 injuries as of today. Student protesters have called for a nationwide shutdown. The nationwide shutdown, which is likely to continue. Students have urged others to participate as well. Clashes continue between protesters and students, and police have been deployed. Visuals on your screens telling a story of a civil unrest in Bangladesh as it unfolds today. And with that, we'll slip into a very short break. We'll be back in just a bit.